We have some breaking news coming in. The European Union has just called for an immediate humanitarian pause in the fighting in Gaza and for the unconditional release of all hostages being held by Hamas. It's the first joint EU demand for an end to the hostilities in Gaza. The European Union heads of government said that safe and full humanitarian access is essential in order to provide life-saving assistance to the civilian population inside the Gaza Strip. All right, let's go to Jack Perrick now. He is at that summit in Brussels. Jack, the EU calling for an immediate humanitarian pause in Gaza, leading to a sustainable ceasefire. That's a mouthful there. I mean, it came as a surprise, or wasn't it a surprise?
It's not necessarily a surprise. We had been hearing from most of the EU countries that this was going to be on the cards, but using the word ceasefire has been politically difficult, especially a few months ago. The idea of calling on for any kind of ceasefire was looking impossible. But now what we've seen is that the EU leaders have progressively moved their position. The needle on the dial has slowly ticked towards this call, which is for immediate humanitarian pauses. This is to allow aid into Gaza with the idea of this sustainable ceasefire in the future. The context to this as well is that a Cypriot plan that the United States has now got behind in the last few weeks to get aid through a humanitarian aid corridor that goes through Cyprus means that European assets are also now moving towards Gaza. And in order for those aid assets to get in there, the EU is now looking at this situation as somewhere where they need to be getting the aid in and to start calling for the fighting to stop.
And there's a lot going on at the summit tonight. We understand that a decision has been taken on Bosnia-Herzegovina and its application for joining the European Union. What do we know?
Yeah, that's right. There's loads going on. What we've heard from the European leaders is that the accession talks, so the official negotiations, will be opened at some time in the future for Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's still a very complicated situation. They do have to enact some reforms. That's what's in the document. But it is a very symbolic gesture from the European Union. They want to make sure that they're sort of galvanizing and keeping the support for those Western Balkan countries for their progression into the EU.
And there is this thorny issue of using frozen Russian assets to boost aid to Ukraine. Did anything happen with that?
Not really. That was the can that was kicked much further down the road. The EU said essentially that the discussions on this and the proposals that have been put forward should be continued to be looked at, and that is something that they could move forward with. That is the context for this, is that around 210 billion euro odd of Russian financial assets are in EU financial institutions accruing interest, and some EU leaders want them to be used to support Ukraine. But at the moment, this is just a discussion that will be ongoing. They haven't made a decision here today.
Yeah, some decisions and some kicking the can tonight at that summit. Jack Perrick in Brussels. Jack, as always, thank you.